edition of Pop Culture Corner, I guess is what we're calling it. And we're going to talk about some stuff that we've been thinking about. And we're just, letting our ADD go wild, and things that we like. We talk about things we like, things we don't. And we're just shooting the breeze and having a good old time. And if you have a good time with us, great, join us. Uh, there is an actress. If you've seen Ant-Man, you've seen
Hmm.
Ant-Man the Wasp. It's Evangeline Lilly. She plays the Wasp.
Yeah.
She has been seen at anti-vaccination rallies, and also she has been at pro-choice rallies. And when asked about
Talk
it,
about
she
mixed signals.
no, my body, my choice, right?
Kinda. Anyways.
That's her point. Her point, and actually, I kind of respect it because she's kind of going, I don't think somebody should tell you what to do with your body. Okay, um, you're taking, because then you'd have a Democrat who would say, nobody should tell me what to do with my body, and they go, Get the vaccination without," and they go, "Okay, yes, sir." Yeah, they just say yes. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of
Hmm.
like, at least they're putting a lot of their, at least they're making sense, or as far as having a single, whether I agree with them or not, they're at least making, they're using logic. So
It's
anyway, she would,
consistent on that point.
thank you, consistency. So she was at an anti-vax rally in DC, and she said this was about bodily sovereignty. So okay, that's the body choice. And the guy who plays Shang-Chi, Simu Liu, um and David Dasmalchian, who was in Ant-Man, he played the one of the robber guys. They called her out and said that she was not rooted in facts or science and irresponsible. Um, again, a lot of these people are in there's these bubbles, and they just, all they hear is just, go do it. It's good to do. Blah blah blah. And then when you actually start questioning things and start
Hmm.
looking for facts and logic, it gets kind of wacky. But honestly, we probably can't talk about anti-vaccination stuff because I think there was I think it might not reach
The
YouTube.
YouTube guidelines, you mean? Yeah.
No, I think because there have been some conversations about that in the past, I think, amongst us all on video, and I think it didn't get up there for whatever reason online. So I think I'm gonna
Mm.
if we want this stuff to go online, then we probably, But I'm just saying, they're also the same thing. Letitia Wright, who plays she plays Shuri, who is the sister of T'Challa, aka Black Panther, and
Hmm.
she's
Didn't you say you're going to get vaccine centered by me?
I just said I'm just
So the reason why I didn't put the vaccine.
I'm
Okay, so
tiptoeing,
here, we recorded a vaccine episode,
right?
uh, of which your wife was a part of, and it was a really good episode, except for some of the things that I said in it. I didn't like how I said it. I am a licensed medical laboratory technician,
Yeah.
or used to be. And so when I start tripping up on mRNA and my facts and stuff, whatever, and I just didn't, I felt kind of embarrassed by my lack of knowledge and preparation, and it just didn't make it up there. So
Okay.
it
Oh,
was
okay.
well
I'm sorry.
I don't care. You could say whatever you want. And if they flag the video, whatever. I mean,
Like a lot of pop culture stuff, I really don't care about. I'm really
Did
not.
you see? Did you see the TikTok is getting banned in several states as far as like on school campuses?
No, I didn't see that. I did see
Yeah.
that there is some TikTok is doing right now where they're labeling their videos with it says state-run media. It's basically the equivalent of
Yeah.
saying state sponsored.
Yeah.
So if the Russian government puts something out, it has that little label in it at the bottom,
Hmm.
which is kind of interesting because it's kind of like, is TikTok trying to change their image from kind of going, well, you know, state sponsored stuff. But the thing is, though,
Hmm.
TikTok in China is actually more um, educational based. They don't
Hmm.
have as much, stupid dance. Sorry to anybody that posts on TikTok. It's not all about doing the latest dance or getting a meme out there or lip syncing a song or a stunt. It just they I don't know. I don't trust TikTok because I've read a little bit of the end user license agreement. I just don't
Hmm.
dig it. It's really weird. Um,
I think it's
I
ironically named. It's like a bit of a time bomb.
yes, I don't really like that. So yeah. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff that has happened, but I honestly the only things that I actually uh get interested in is stuff like, Lord of the Rings, Star Trek, Star Wars, Marvel stuff, DC movies, comic book, the state of the comic book world right now, how it's doing, um you know uh movies that might come out that are really good, actors, what they're doing, what they're working on, directors. Those are all things that I find interesting. A lot of the stuff that I'm finding about pop culture stuff that's happened recently is just dumb stuff. Like
Depressing.
who cares who cares what Kim Kardashian's doing? Really, whatever. Nobody. I don't. It's like Taylor Swift, whatever. I'm sorry, go
I'd be
figure.
more interesting if Kim were a Kardashian.
A Kardashian, yeah.
Yeah,
Why
Kim
why did
Kardashian would be the best meme. Anyways,
yeah, exactly. Why does she not why would she not show up in a Star Trek show and be like,
yeah,
so
she'd look great with the forehead ridges. Anyways,
yeah, that's so weird. You know, there's a lot of stuff that's going on. The thing that I was looking at is the guy who's in charge, along with Zaslav, the guy who's in charge of the DC Comics movies or DC Universe movies going forward is James Gunn. And the only DC things he did was Suicide Squad 2 and Peacemaker. Both Suicide Squad, they had some kind of adult stuff in them, and but he's more famous to me for Guardians of the Galaxy, and those are very entertaining. I don't he with Henry Cavill leaving as Superman, I'm not quite sure what they're going to do. A lot of fans are kind of like up in arms, kind of going, yeah, we really liked Henry, and fans are very vindictive.
sometimes they
Well,
can be
they can be. If you are like,
That's
um,
exactly my definition of a fan.
oh, fanatic.
vindictive.
Yeah, let's put it this way. Let's
They
let's
stick
let's
with
put
you through thick and thin until they don't.
until they don't. Well,
So what
me
you're saying is they're cats.
Yes.
oh, like yeah. Well, me and Matt talked about this on the last pop culture corner, whatever you want to call it. We talked about how, one little document, okay, put out there that they didn't like, that the Dungeons and Dragons fans did not like the wording of, or where they're headed with it, and then even if they backpedal, guess what? Too late now. There were people who went, oh, I'm making my own system, or I'm not gonna Twitch stream
I
Dungeons and
think you're
Dragons.
underestimating that a little bit, but I'll explain why later.
Well, okay, well, hey, things turn on a dime. I mean, there was
Yeah.
there was people saying we're going to do Pathfinder second edition. We're going to do that and start streaming that.
hmm
Sorry, it's my wife. I had to throw her
I
the
was like,
keys.
what?
It was my
This
it
just
was
happened.
it was my wife. I threw her the keys, and yes, my wife does call me on my nonsense, and sometimes if
Yes.
I might get a little bit frustrated for a moment, but she's right more often than not. So
Yeah. I think so that to that point when you're talking about, I think Hillary Clinton, for instance, didn't call Bill Clinton on as his nonsense because it was her ride. And so I
uh-huh.
think similarly with Jill Biden, she is the first lady because she's like basically off the radar. But hey, I mean it's a decent ride, and all she has to do is babysit him a little bit. I mean, honestly, it's not a bad gig
Well,
because
what I
his
loved is
administration's running the country.
is when they were talking about COVID, she was like, oh, he was like, my wife's a doctor, right? Isn't she a doctor of literature or something? What is she help me out here? She's a doctor of something, but it's not
Don,
medical. She's
do you
not a
know?
medical doctor, right? Is
I
she?
don't think she's a medical doctor. I think she's
Yeah.
Right.
PhD.
So okay, she's got a PhD, and I think first, and then people were like, oh, that's funny, he made a joke, and I'm like, I don't think he knows it's a
He
joke.
wasn't making a joke.
Yeah, he really thinks she's a
He
doctor.
was the joke.
Yikes.
But
Okay, but
I want to
as
pull a
far
sock and circle back.
we
Uh,
do not know what's going to happen with the DC universe right now, and honestly, they're talking about rebooting Superman, and then they're not, and they don't know where they're going with this thing. At least with Marvel, that they at least appear to be didn't know where they're going as far as steering. You know, they know years ahead what they're heading towards, as
Right.
far as the next big plot point they want to go with. And it's always seemed like they had more of a plan. And
Yeah.
I think with Warner Brothers, when they were changing hands, you know, they threw out whole movies. They were like, nope, we're not doing that. Nope, we're not doing that. You know, there was a Batgirl movie that was done, that was finished,
Mm.
and they scrapped it and just took a loss and took the money for it. And the thing is, though, was it super woke? Was it, you know, not really good? Who knows? No one's seen it. And so we were, you know, so everybody's like, well, that's great. I haven't seen Marvel do that with anything. They, you know, they would rather put it out. I mean, we saw
And it'd
Thor
be trash.
they put Thor Love and Thunder out,
Yeah.
and that was
Well,
jank.
I have like I like DC, a lot of DC stuff. And I like a lot of Marvel stuff too, but like usually I like DC better, just in
Yeah.
general. The ones that I do like, I like better.
That's crazy. I always liked Marvel better.
But I always feel like, yeah, DC is like has no direction, no
Mhm.
idea what it's doing. Like as far as like a concept wise with like show to show to show. And then Marvel, it's so interconnected and intertwined and so complex and convoluted. I can't tell what it is. I can't watch it out of order because I have no idea what
Yeah, that's true.
it is.
And
I get so lost. I'm not into like Marvel like that, like superheroes and stuff like that. I just want to watch an action movie that's good, that's fun and funny. And
oh,
I
you mean like
lost
the Batman?
in, I get lost in all.
That was the best DC thing. That was the best DC thing last year, bar none. I still kind of think about it going, yeah, the Batman. Where I was like, where are they going with this thing? I would like to see. They're
There was
planning
a
a sequel.
Batman movie that came out last year.
Yeah, March 2022. Yeah,
What's it called?
the Batman.
The Batman.
Did you see it?
Who's it? Who's the Batman? Like
Robert Pattinson.
I haven't seen that.
No.
The last
All
Batman
right,
related
stop
thing
what you're
was
doing. Stop
Joker.
what you're doing. Oh, if I have HBO Max, you want to come over?
It's on HBO Max. Okay,
Yes.
I can watch it. I didn't
Yeah.
know that was a thing.
I think
Let's-
I think
I
it's
gotta
yeah,
finish.
it's also rentable. You could rent it as well. But it's like 2 hours and 50 minutes. It's long, but
Yeah.
All
it's
Batman movies are long. Ugh.
no, they're not. Not all of them. But okay, you're talking about the Nolan stuff.
Yeah.
I I really liked where they're going with this. It's really early. We could talk about the Batman later, but it's early days for Batman. He's starting out. He has to figure out what he's really going to be. Is he really purely a tool of vengeance? Is there something he
Or
can
just a
do?
tool.
Oh yeah. Also, you know, he had these ideas about his parents and about the way the city is run, and he realizes that not all is as it seems, and he's got to figure out how he plays out in this world that's kind of forming, you know, with crime and politicians and all this kind of stuff. And what kind of Batman does he want to be? Can he be both? Can he both, you know, be something that the criminals fear, but be somebody that people can go and get behind? I guess I spoiled it just now. No,
But
it's
that's every Batman
Spoilers.
movie, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's
yeah, I
it's
guess
pretty
so.
standard.
The Batman character. So
Yeah, pretty much. But it's good. I've got it. So hey, if we want to pull it up on my computer, I'd love to see what somebody thinks about it first time as they're watching it.
So-
We should do a watch along.
Do you think
a live reaction video? We should
Yes.
the Batman like
Oh,
in
that'd be fun.
the corner and then watch it. Well, in the corner of the video and then we watch it. Whatever. Yeah.
Well, you know what they do.
People would watch that. I don't know.
Yes. Are you kidding me? Do you not know? Have you seen like movie reaction videos?
I did have a question though. It was to circle back.
TikTok's the devil. No.
To circle back, two things. One thing is with Wizards of the Coast devolving and how the fans were vindictive, it wasn't the same as a lot of people are saying. So
Okay.
a lot of times fans get upset because core world problems were changed, and that happens whenever you adapt something, you know. But for instance, with Star Wars, there was a war that was a world that was created, or Lord of the Rings, there was a world that was created, and then the movies don't jive with it, and you know, you kind of vote with your feet, and that's what happened a lot of the time. But there's also, you know, talk about why you're disappointed about it, and that's one thing. This with Wizards of the Coast is entirely different, because part of the ethos of D&D has been the idea that you could create your own world in it. That is the core thing that makes D&D fun, is that you're not constrained to this IP. They're not creating stuff that you have to, like, you don't have to have anything except for the core rules,
You don't have
and
to
then you can
play
create
in
your own
Forgotten
world.
Realms or Dragonlance. You can make up your own
Right.
thing.
And so all of these other creators are like, okay, this is really cool. They created this system. I can tap into it, and it's safe because this open gaming license protects it. And it was a very bulletproof type of thing. Basically, you can always use whichever one you want for your content. But then what happened was Wizards basically threatened to take away third-party people's ability to create content. And that
Which
hurt.
is it's also the
Yeah.
lifeblood of a lot of creative fans. Is
Precisely. So it's going to kill their business. It's going to kill, and it really alienates a lot of people who enjoy those third-party creators' content. So it's way bigger and way different than just you created something with an IP that you entirely own that I don't like. This is you just took away my ability to participate in this.
There's a creator I
that's what I'm
like
saying,
called the Dungeon Coach. I recommend his
Yeah.
stuff. He's great.
Yeah.
I don't know his real name. I'm sorry, I forgot his real name, but yeah, he's always the dungeon. He is always the coach to me. Anyway, he's called the Dungeon Coach, and he wrote a really good book called Alkander's Almanac or something. It's really good. Had a lot of optional rules, things that he's using. It's basically a house rules compendium of stuff that he's done. The art was great.
Yeah.
The layout was great, and I like it. I was like, this is ripe for stealing. And I'm like, when I do my own homebrew thing, I'm going to steal the best bits. And that's what we do we borrow, we give credit where credit's due, and say, hey, you know, even if it's a verbal thing, they don't care. They just want you to shout them out and say, hey, thanks to Dungeon Coach, he had a really good house rule in it. I didn't make this up. I just kind of did a little bit of what he did. And he's like, thanks. That's all that gamers really honestly want to do, is just, you know, give them a a salute and say thank you. You know, that goes so far. But when you get corporate fingers all over and stuff, it gets nasty. He said that he actually came up with his own system in reaction to this debacle going on. He's going to call it the DC-20, and he laid out and said, this is what my system had and it has in. And I was like, oh, this sounds like a hybrid of 5th edition and his Alkander's homebrew stuff. If he can do it and change the names of the attributes
to protect the innocent,
and what advantage and disadvantages, and those basically things that you can't copyright, and you know, you can't copy. I'm sorry, you can't copyright this. It's trademark law. You can't copyright systems and procedures. I think there was the original lawsuit. This is nerdy, stupid stuff, but I read this up. It basically, what came up with this was there was a lawsuit where there was a guy who had written these really good methods on how to do accounting, and then this other guy came along later and implemented it in a certain way.
Right.
And then he sued him back, and he goes, well, you can't do that because it's systems. It's not, you know.
Yeah.
So, and that's where gamers, role-playing gamers and game system aficionados went, well, you can't really trademark a system. That's why you have a lot of what are called retro clones. If you have like a retro clone, like Osric is a retro clone. Labyrinth Lord is one. When they say these rules are based upon, you know, rules from the world's most famous fantasy game, and they don't name drop Dungeons and Dragons, but oh yeah, you know what they're talking about.
Precisely.
We
they're
all
trying
know
to give some credit without getting in trouble.
without giving that copyrighted trademark name. And you can't trademark a 20-sided die. You can't trademark something like even like armor class. Sorry. So I guess the point is, what I'm trying to say is that this may be where people were like, using 5th edition as a crutch. It was
Mhm.
a good tool, but maybe it was a crutch for some. Like
Yeah.
everybody plays it, so I have to use 5th edition. That's even though there's some parts I don't like about it, but hey, I'm gonna house
Yeah.
rule it to bits
And
and
that's why I
do.
think Hasbro has just managed to accidentally cut Dungeons and Dragons out of role playing games.
Or
Just to
maybe
get
they've
themselves out of the
opened some
table.
people's minds to the fact that there are other games out there.
Right, which is basically cutting themselves out because they had a dominance based on name recognition.
Oh, the
And so they're cutting
what they
themselves
got.
out of that
So
money.
honestly, what sucks is that Twitch streamers and podcasters and video people, well,
Yeah.
I'd say Critical Role. I've seen more people join the D&D and 5th
Hmm.
edition from Critical Role, and I see a lot of people online that are like, "Well, my dungeon master, it's called the Mercer effect. My dungeon
Yeah.
master is not as good as Matt Mercer is." And I'm like, "Matt Mercer's a professional.
He's a professional
He's a
voice actor,
voice
among other
actor. He's a
things.
voice actor, writer. He's a businessman too, because he was able
Yeah.
to make all this work, and that's
Well,
wonderful. That's like
he had
pla-
Travis, but anyways.
yeah, yes, thank you. I don't discount Travis Willingham. So yeah, definitely. Thanks for doing that. That's why it's not just Gary Gygax, it's Dave Arneson and other
It's
people
the team. Yep.
And Holmes.
And who knows
All,
what the rest of them are doing. So
yeah, yeah. This is a big, the other thing I was going to say is that it's like playing a pickup game of basketball and getting mad at your other teammate because he's not Michael Jordan.
mhm.
I'm sorry, we all wish we could, do voices and come up with all that stuff like they can,
Right.
or improv like they can. But guess what? That's something you can learn how to do.
Maybe, but
Our
it's also some people's heart, their personality is not going to allow them to be able to do that thing. They would have to start it a lot earlier. And
right,
so, it's what is your priority? Like, is that really what you want to do for a living? Do you want to be a voice actor? Sure. Then start, really, really working on that, hone your art.
right.
But
But
like,
if not for
you
Critical Role,
don't
wouldn't
have
have a
time
lot
for
of
that.
I you can
Just
watch
enjoy the
and
game for what it is.
well, you can see when Critical Role came in, you can actually see the sales figures and they go up.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And honestly, I think that we'd have a Dungeons and Dragons movie coming up if it wasn't for like that increased
No,
visibility. I don't think
no,
so.
no chance.
Also, remember how we were talking about how fans are vindictive? I actually
Yeah.
saw recently because of this OGL stuff, some people were saying boycott the D&D movie.
Yeah, I
That
think
is,
that's overboard, but at any rate,
it definitely
um,
is. I'm gonna go see it because I don't boycott movies. I don't
speaking of vindictive fans, what do you think about there's some talk about them having to, like, because they wrote themselves into a corner, them having to actually decanonize the new trilogy of Star Wars. Basically, it was such a catastrophe that if they keep that canon, they will
no.
not have any ability. You think they're
No,
not
no,
going to
no, no.
decanonize it?
Why do you think they're doing the Mandalorian? They're telling a story that took place between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens.
Uh-huh.
Why do you think the Bad Batch is doing well? Because it takes place during the Clone Wars when they have a little bit more freedom and they can tell some stories that they might want to tell. Why do you think they have Andor? I didn't finish Andor. Sorry. No matter how many people tell me Andor was great, I'm sorry. I fell asleep. I really did. They said give it a chance, and I was like, look, I stayed awake through the Batman, and that was 2 hours and 50 minutes long.
I
When you
bailed on the Mandalorian, so
I didn't bail on the Mandalorian. I saw it as it's basically a one person, somebody's running a solo RPG. There's a dungeon
yeah.
master and he's running. I know the Mandalorian to me is like Clint Eastwood, the
I thought
man
it
with
was
no
really
the
neat to see something different in
it's
Star
Western. It's a
Wars.
Western.
Yeah,
It feels like the
yeah.
Western samurai thing, and I like that. So
I
anyway,
just didn't find the story engaging. But anyways,
that's okay.
keep going.
I do, and that's okay. I'm looking forward to season 3. So here's the deal: is that that's why I think they're playing around in those areas. I've heard people say, "Hey, we need to find a way to decanonize." I don't think that's how you go forward. I think what you
Mm,
do is you have to maybe give slight nods to that stuff happened before, but then you move forward and tell new stories, and hopefully
sure,
because people are very forgiving, they'll be like,
but
"This is really good," and
if that's true, why did they decanonize all of the material that was not the original things? It's like
oh, you mean
they
like, yeah,
decanonized like all the books.
well, that's Kathleen Kennedy's fault. In fact, Kathleen, we'd be here all day long if I just talked about Kathleen Kennedy. No, I'm not worried about Star Wars right now. It's
Yeah.
okay. It's in okay hands. What I'm worried about
Yeah.
is Indiana Jones 5,
Oh,
The Dial of Destiny. I'm afraid. Although look at best, it's going to be not great.
who's acting that? Is that
At worst, it's going to be horrible. But I think that the fact
who's
that
the
people,
lead in that?
well, it's Harrison Ford,
Okay.
old Harrison Ford, 70-year-old, 80-year-old Harrison Ford.
All right.
And okay, no, there's an actress, British actress. She was in a show called Fleabag, and
Did you just call her a Fleabag?
no, she was in a show called Fleabag. In fact, some people like call her that don't like her call her Fleabag. But
Well,
anyway,
if
supposedly
ever you come up with a joke, somebody else has.
yes, she is the she in the movie she plays the granddaughter, I think, of somebody that we know from the series, a really great character, Marcus Brody. If you've watched the movies again and you see Marcus Brody, this is his granddaughter. But this story takes place partially in the 60s, and she's real, I guess, what you might call woke for that time. She's all about, hey, you're toxic male guy or whatever. So she's supposed to be snarky against Harrison Ford's character of Indiana Jones and kind of tear him down and go, oh, the patriarchy, and you're like, okay, wow. Kathleen Kennedy is a feminist, and that's fine. She was actually one of the reasons why we have Rey Skywalker.
Yeah.
She has that shirt. Kathleen Kennedy had that shirt. The Force is female. She always used to wear.
Right. Yeah.
And that's fine. I'm not mad at that, but okay. But what she's doing this is bad. The original idea behind Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny was this time travel device, or this device that they find that actually it communicates with portal locations on Earth, and he
Okay.
time travels back to the time of Raiders of the Lost Ark. So old Indy sees young Indy, who has been de-aged. It's basically Harrison Ford de-aged playing himself.
Yeah.
Because the Nazis don't like that they lost World War II, and they have a way of maybe fixing that. And this might play into fascists, fascists of the now wanting to get back to the there was even a rumor that somebody said, let's make the Reich great again. Yeah, again, all these rumors are have a pinch of salt, right? But
Right.
here's the thing we're hearing about now, that there was such an outcry about how this movie was going, that Indiana Jones was going to get replaced in the timeline by this female person who goes, I can do this better than you. And she was going to take she wasn't going to take the stuff to a museum, take the artifacts. She was going to give the artifacts back to the people that they were originally gotten from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yay.
It doesn't make sense in terms of the story even there too. So
Yeah.
if you thought the fourth Indiana Jones movie with the with the aliens in it that was really bad, this is going to make that one look decent. But the thing is
If the rumors are true.
But the thing is they filmed multiple endings, and it was called scrapbooking. You film certain scenes, with certain different things. So you basically can go, okay, and
what works. Yeah.
I don't agree with scrapbooking, because scrapbooking is basically like, we don't really have a plan for this movie. We think we have this idea, we have this other idea. We're going to see what you think. And it's like, this is not a crowdsourced movie where you kind of go, so do you think Indiana Jones should move his head this way or that way? Vote on it today. They did that in comic books and it was cool. Like, should Robin die? Vote, call this number. That's kind of cool. That was kind of cool at the time back in the 80s or 70s, whenever that happened. But now you can't just go, oh, well, let's see what let's see what the focus group thinks. Oh, well, they like this idea. Okay, well, let's put that in the movie. Look, directors that I respect have a vision. For good or ill, they go, this is the story I want to tell, the theming I want to have, and they tell it. They don't
because it takes a uniform idea in order to be a movie.
And you have to be able to put those little, if you have a theme, you have to be able to hint at that theme throughout. If the theming came only after the fact through a bunch of editing, no. So here's the thing. What I'm hoping is, and the best thing you can possibly hope for with this movie is that Indiana Jones does not look like an idiot. But
that would be That'd be nice.
Supposedly there was a rumor that this female character that tears him down a lot, she gets kidnapped for a large majority of the movie. And this is reactionary. It seems like that again. The thing is, some people in the comments on a lot of these videos calling out these elements of the possible Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah.
The things they were saying was they are going to plan on waiting till a review kind of gives some hints as to is this good or not, and then they ask why did they think it's good. If they says, oh, it's because a woman shows woman power, you're like, no, I'm not going, I'm not doing it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they're gonna wait and see like till the second week and then go see
Uh-huh.
it. But the thing is though, a movie lives or dies based on what happens during the first and second week. Usually
Yeah.
first week. If it does not make back, what it's made, what you can't just kind of go, oh, let's see what we can do internationally. You don't wait to see if you can clean up a bomb through international. I mean, it didn't work for Black Adam, which was
It did oddly enough work for the first Avatar. But anyways.
oh yeah. Okay. Well, the second Avatar is making lots of money. And it's a pretty movie with no real substance. It's very pretty.
Hey, but it's pretty.
Go watch. Well, the first movie was a very pretty movie with no real substance. Substance borrowed
That's also
from
true.
other better movies.
Well, it had a story that a lot of people hadn't seen because they didn't see the other movies.
They haven't seen Pocahontas, and they haven't seen Dancing
Or
with
Fern Valley or
Fern Gully or Dances with
remake of Fern Gully.
No, Dances with Wolves. It's really
that's true.
Dances with Wolves because an outsider white man joins with the Indians that his people had been pushing down, and he becomes one of the tribe and fights against his own people.
You're right. It is. It's actually just a remake.
The only difference is that the female character that Kevin Costner's character, who known as Dances with Wolves, I've seen this movie quite a few times. She is
Can't tell.
She is a white woman, white girl who was adopted into the tribe because she was left over from a massacre. She's basically part of that Indian tribe in all ways, but it's color for skin. So basically, they kind of hook them two up. But in Avatar, he hooks up with an actual native, a Na'vi. You see, native Na'vi. Ugh, yeah, wow, genius. Now,
at least it's not the Naboo. Anyways.
Oh well, yeah. Oh yeah. Thank you, Nauvoo. Yeah, I know about the Nauvoo. Yeah. So, oh boy, we're not going to go have religious talk corner, are we?
No.
Sadly. Let's not do that.
Where's John? I'm looking at two towers, and John. Where are you?
We talked about Lord of the Rings, so I guess there's the two towers.
I was listening, but I don't really have a lot to offer, and I kept yawning because I'm actually really tired, and I felt I'd be distracted.
He's bored to tears. No, it's fine.
It's respectful, so I'm listening.
No, it's fine. But the thing we talked about earlier, John, I don't mind doing that with you. We talked about doing, even before you were even going to do a season 2. You were talking of this video cast, whatever it is. You were talking about doing a reaction video with me about a certain movie. And I'm still all for that. That's fine. If you want to do a reaction thing, I need to look up how you would do that and not get flagged. That's very important. I don't want you to get flagged.
Guidelines for reaction videos.
Guidelines for reaction videos. How, what works best for those. I've got a couple that I've watched that do a really good job, and I'm like, how do they do that? Get away with it.
I've decided what I want to do for reaction video is like watching a chemistry thing. I think that would be the coolest reaction video ever.
Catalyst. It'd be like,
it'd be Catalyst for Thought.
Oh, there it goes. You see it? Oh, it just lost a proton. Oh, thank you. No, I've actually seen somebody do a reaction video reacting.
Stop jumping in and out of character. It's gonna be very hard to edit.
Oh, okay. A reaction. Online, I saw a reaction video on a reaction video on a reaction video. So they're reacting to a reaction of a reaction, and it just goes to show you how crazy YouTube can be. And I kind of liked it though, because it was kind of showing how goofy we are, because we're like, oh, I did a reaction video on another reaction video. That's a reaction video.
Yeah. You know, it's fun. Like sometimes that just feels like a challenge to try to watch something like that because you're trying to understand what's happening. It works a different part of your brain to try to figure out what's going on all at once. I actually found that with chatting with people, I actually would get into like four separate chats sometimes and just see if I could keep up like with what was happening in the different streams. So
Wow.
like sometimes it's just fun to challenge your brain to do that. So if you ever want to challenge your brain, go find a reaction of a reaction of a reaction and see if you could follow what's happening.
No, 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 no. I think it was more for a parody's sake. I think it was more for a joke's sake than anything.
Oh
I don't
yeah.
think they took it extremely seriously.
Yeah,
Um,
but it would still be fun.
yeah, yeah. I did. We talked about The Last of Us. I think the last time, and I did.
Mhm.
It actually has come out, and on HBO
Did you
Max.
see
And
it?
no, not yet. I did
Okay.
talk to my friend of mine. He watched. He said it's really good. He said it's what The Walking Dead wishes it was.
Nice.
Emotionally satisfying, suspenseful, well acted. Um,
Yeah, I was not impressed with the premise behind The Walking Dead or
no, 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 no,
listening
no.
to
I
it.
was I was the first maybe 3 seasons, and then after that I fell off. It was too
Mhm.
depressing.
Yeah.
Um, it brought up some interesting points early on where they were like, what is God in all of this? Where is God in all this? Some people were asking that,
Yeah.
some believer characters, and it was very depressing
The
because
interpersonal relationships were what made it, but
yeah.
the zombies were just yeah. And like
Well, I will tell you this, that actually fits into a lot of zombie apocalypse movies in the past. Is
yeah,
for some people, for some movies that were just kind of following the premise or
yeah,
follow the leader, they were like,
yeah,
ooh, people want to see these half dead creations eating people. And yeah, but really the point of zombie movies, if you really want to go back and really get the point of them,
yeah.
the movie to watch is Night of the Living Dead.
Mhm.
um, it's public domain. You can find it somewhere. It does have a quick scene of, like, I can't show this to William. It had a quick scene of partial nudity.
Mhm.
I don't know how it got past the censors on that, but anyway, the point is that the movie was not about The Walking Dead. It's or the zombies or ghouls or whatever you want to call them. The dead
Yeah,
have risen. It treats them as if they are an environmental disaster.
yeah,
It's something to deal with. Like,
right.
what do we do now? Who do we
Yeah.
depend on? What are there natural leaders that are gonna come up? And the
Yeah, but it
interesting.
has to be believable. That's the thing like that I didn't like about it was they just didn't seem to be logically consistent. If they were these type of
Yeah.
zombies, they wouldn't have taken over, you know? They just weren't capable enough.
Well, what
So
they what they
that was
what
one of
they
the things I didn't
eventually
like.
said was, if you die, everyone's infected. It's
Mhm.
airborne. So if you die, you become one of them. So if you think you're gonna
Uh,
die, you have to leave. So basically, it made it dangerous to just even die near other people. That you would turn. You'd have to
ironically, that it was dangerous to die. I just think that's
to other
ironic.
people, to other people.
Yeah.
Because if and that's actually, there was a thing where, in the movie Dawn of the Dead, which had a lot to say about culture and how we are, because it took place in a mall, and you would even see people, like zombies were just like walking through shopping, doing what they used to do, which they'd have to look at clothes and stuff. It was very interesting. um
Yeah, I
a-
mean, honestly, I feel like people do that right now.
yeah,
So
that's what he was doing. It was kind of that they
it would,
it's
yeah, a bit of a cultural commentary.
they make those commentaries, but they don't do that as often anymore. Um, they don't have points to them, or I could give you some ones that are very intelligently done, and The Walking Dead just isn't.
No,
It outlived its welcome, very much so, like the TV series, Lost. Remember Lost, the TV series? It
yeah,
it
I
wasn't
lost interest.
it wasn't supposed to go on as long as it was, but because it was popular, they like pushed it.
Hmm.
Same thing with the TV show Supernatural.
And
Um,
Game of Thrones.
Yes, it went on way too long. They invent reasons for the show to keep going. It's just,
Hmm.
especially with Supernatural. 15 years. It was supposed to only go 5, but
Yeah,
the fans were hardcore, and they would get mad if you. But the thing is, though, eventually quality, you can
yeah. I was
only
about to
three
say, I
you
think in
quality
hindsight,
goes down.
the fans would have been okay with that because if you stop it there, stop what's going on, and actually end it logically and well. You actually set yourself up to restart later. And I think the fans would be more than happy with that. Like, yeah, they'd be disappointed, but then they have something to get back into, you know?
Yeah, but I will tell you that you know, in the D&D game we play, there's a lot of I hear a lot of, you know, little supernatural in jokes that are coming in, and I think that it becomes you know, a genre or a cultural, you know, that they become, the characters in it become larger than life to you,
Yep.
and you remember them, and they become, but ultimately I don't remember that the show was as long as it was. I just remember these core characters and their personalities, and you know, and how they can they inspire, you know,
Mhm.
characters that I come up with.
I liked
But
Walking Dead because it was just very, it was like the human interactions, you know.
Right.
What do you do?
that's what Matt said. Yeah.
That was very interesting, but it did seem to get very repetitive. I mean, you
Yes.
Yep.
had season 1 through 3 was the same plot as season 4, 5, 6. It was just a new characters, new place, whatever, same story.
That's
And
that you said exactly, John. I left about season 3.
7,
Oh
8,
yeah.
9 were exactly the same story as before, with just different.
There's 9? Oh,
11. We're literally, Jasmine and I are right now are watching the last season that they put out. I think it's the last one. I think this is it. I think it's done. And 11, and we're like halfway through, and we're like, where's this character at? Like, they haven't showed themselves at all in the series. It's just, it's bizarre.
well,
The
don't get in,
graphic
don't watch
quality
Supernatural.
changed.
Don't
The last
Jasmine.
two
Yeah. Good.
seasons are like, it's just a different quality of, it's like they change cameras or something, they change directors or something, like it's just a different vibe. It's strange, but yeah, I didn't care for it. I
Well,
mean,
yeah, and we were just talking about Supernatural going on for 15 seasons when it only should have gone 5.
yeah,
And so many shows are like that, you
And
know, that
Firefly went one-ish.
Firefly should have at least gone 6 or 7.
Firefly
Like
had enough set up to go, I would say probably about 3, and hopefully he would have actually like called it at 3, but it really should have gone on about 3
yeah,
seasons. But
I think Firefly talk has really gone. It's all been said. Like people, you know,
yeah,
people have had enough years to really mourn this show. I'm not
but
saying it's a bad.
everybody loves it still. It's so
No,
crazy.
but everybody still likes to talk about how they mourn for it, and I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, I get it. I
yeah.
also do like the fact that some, you know, role playing game creators created some Firefly
Mhm.
materials, and I might
Yeah.
still visit that. I might GM a game one of these days. Except I don't know how to pronounce Chinese words, so I wouldn't be very good at doing the slang. Um, but yeah, some of
That's
these,
shiny. Don't worry.
that's okay. Some of those books actually have like Mandarin kind of isms in the back of the book. You can kind of
Mm,
like throw out these little, you know, these little Chinese words.
Mandarin. Okay,
Ooh,
it's blanking out. What are
yeah.
you trying to show?
What are you trying to show us?
Just describe.
no, it's a fortune cookie.
Yeah, but we can't read it.
I can't. You
read it.
you have the green screen on. It's messing with it.
I
No, but
finally
like I can see that there are words on the fortune cookie thing, but I can't read it.
Uh,
It's not working.
okay.
John
Just
Mark,
says
you have to turn off your virtual background,
my
man.
screen turned off.
Oh,
My
it
screen
looks
says
funky.
you are not illiterate. It's a fortune cookie.
It's true.
Yeah.
It because you read it. Yeah, it's a
But
self-fulfilling
fortune
prophecy.
cookies are like notoriously not true, right?
Oh,
It's not that they're not true. It's usually that they're true for literally anybody.
Well, this one's only true if you read it.
by
It's true for
the
anybody who can read it.
by
Yeah.
the way, anybody listening to this pop culture corner of this podcast, I will tell you, we can talk about this another time after I finish watching all the episodes. But me and my wife Rachel are at this point are hate watching the new Willow show.
Mm, sorry.
I actually halfway enjoyed Rings of Power. Okay, and
Yeah.
if
I really enjoyed it, except for the last
it,
episode.
yeah, no, I'm still okay with that. I'm you know, look, at least it had elements of. That's another conversation. Willow is at okay. Let's put it this way: if somebody was in Game of Thrones and they had somebody making a TikTok in the middle of Game of Thrones, and you're like, what? And it's out of place. It's super out of place. The humor is out of
What is
place.
Willow?
You know what? You know what? Here's the thing. Here, I got you. I got you. Go to Disney Plus. Look up Willow. Don't watch the TV show. Watch the original movie. It's entertaining.
Yeah.
It's actually it's got a good fantasy story. They speak as if they're in medieval kind of times.
Yeah.
It's it's
It's
actually
George Lucas's actually.
Ron,
So
Ron Howard directed it, and he did an okay job, and it's
That's with
fine.
the dwarf, right?
Yeah. And he's a Nelwyn, is what they call them, and all the tall people are called Daikinis, or the tall folk. But it's
tall
it's
people wear bikinis.
no Daikinis.
Yeah.
It's they're called Daikinis. It's a good movie. It's not as as memorable as like a Star Wars or Return of the Jedi, but I have good.
So they remade it. Is that what you're saying?
They no,
made it into a
this is
series.
a sequel
Oh,
series of like 7, 8, 9 episodes, and it is
Really bad.
bad in so many ways. Not only it's got woke stuff like to two females, kind of relation that the way that people talk, they talk like okay, there's a line in there, okay, where a character is telling a young person a story, and the young person has very little attention span.
What? Huh?
No, no, it's like, oh, I know young people with your short attention span. Sorry, I'm not getting to the point quick enough with my story. In a medieval time era story, you would sit there and listen,
Oh yeah.
and you would be absorbed in someone's every word, because there is no TikTok, there is no YouTube, there is no streaming media to then give somebody this short attention span like my daughters and son and your kids probably do, John Mark. So, but she's talking like a TikToker person, like I have a short attention span. That wouldn't have happened in that world. That evolved because of our social media internet nonsense, that people have a short attention span for story. But in universe, they would be absorbed in story, especially since this is a world of magic and mystery. It was like whatever, like I was expecting somebody to go like, whatevs, bro, in the middle of it. I'm like, oh God. And at the end of the episode, they play the credits, they'll play a modern song written slightly different. It's kind of like they'll have somebody doing a Nirvana song, and you're like, I wait to the end of the thing and I go, oh, here it comes, and then they play something out of place, and I'm just like,
it's
no,
kind of like a
so
Night
bad.
to Remember. I mean, wait, A Knight's Tale.
I was looking at
No, wait. I actually like Knight's Tale because they didn't try to pretend they were something that they weren't. They were like, we're gonna put people.
Yeah, it was tongue in cheek the whole time.
It was, and I thought it was original for that.
Yeah,
And
like
it grew on me. I will tell you, it grew on me. I can't show that to the kids because Chaucer, the character Geoffrey Chaucer, he's naked a lot in that because he's they stole all his clothes. We would laugh at that as as teenagers, but I try not to show them that kind of stuff. Anyway, I like that movie, and Heath Ledger, he's gone too early. I would like to see I want to see what Heath Ledger would do, at the age of like a Colin Farrell now, or like I want to see an older Heath Ledger. What kind of parts would he have sunk his teeth into? And he was gone too early. I mean, the Joker, great part, but he had so much more that he could have shown us. But anyway, that's enough of that. But Willow, I would like to talk about it just to make fun of it. But me and Rachel have done a lot of that already. But I wouldn't even. Don't watch it. If you're gonna watch something fantasy that's like halfway decent, I would do Rings of Power. Don't. I wanted Willow to be good.
But instead, it was a sorry tree.
That's right. I weep over Willow.
Precisely.
Is that good? Weeping Willow. That's the name of the article. No. There's actually Chris Claremont, the guy who wrote a lot of X-Men. Claremont. No,
French,
X.
Clermont.
Well, it's pronounced Claremont. He he wrote a lot of X-Men stuff from the 80s and 90s. You know, really prime X-Men time. Really good stories. But he wrote 3 novels along with George Lucas. Shadow something, Shadow Moon, and something else. I think Rachel has read those, but they're actually sequels to Willow, and they're actually really supposedly really well done, and they take the material seriously. And
Nice.
this just did not, and I was just like, ugh, I wanted better for it, but
Hey.
whatever. Whatever.